Hey everybody, Rulin Lehman with Milano Music here. I'm here with Chris, local musician and key player, awesome player. He's going to talk to us a little bit about himself and about the Korg SV1. Thanks for being here, Chris.
My pleasure.
Awesome. So yeah, tell us a little about yourself, how you got into music, what you're doing now.
Well, I got into music primarily through the force of will of my parents. They didn't really have lessons when they grew up, so they decided all their kids are going to have lessons whether they liked it or not.
Perfect.
And I mostly didn't like it. It was a lot of hard work, and frankly, I just wasn't really into classical music. And when I got into middle school, that's when I had the opportunity to join a jazz band, and I really enjoyed that and enjoyed the freedom to be able to to play together, but at the same time just to put more of yourself into the music,
right?
Instead of just playing what's on the page. And so that's what got me into it. The love of playing, steadily grew, and pretty soon I found myself practicing because I wanted to practice, and ended up deciding to pursue it as a degree in college. So I moved up from Tucson and moved up to here in Phoenix about 8 years ago to get my degree in jazz studies. And yeah, so I met a lot of people in the school that sort of springboarded me to a bunch of different connections of being in different bands, finding a regular church gig,
right?
Finding finding steady work at a couple of casinos at one point, and it's all culminated to a point where I pretty much now I work full time as a gigging keyboardist. Don't really teach much. I teach here and there, but it's not really my charism, I don't think.
Sure.
But I do enjoy it though. It's a great chance to go over the basics again, and find new ways to look at it, because we all learn differently. So I have to teach it from a different angle depending on the person,
right,
who's I'm trying to teach, and then that different angle sheds different light on the concept that I thought I already knew all about. But anyways, that's pretty much what I do. I play with a band called Bad Cactus Brass Band. We do a lot of New Orleans style jazz, and then I play with a corporate wedding band called Shining Star. And we do a lot of casino work and casuals and corporate events and weddings, right. and that's been a lot of fun. That's sort of the band where I do more of my synth and my other non-piano, like I do use piano, but like
right.
I do use more of the technology side. And
very cool.
I'm also really into electronic music too, and I produce that on the side as well.
Oh, okay, awesome. So Bad Cactus Brass Band, we had you guys out to play at our Music Fest anniversary sale last November. Check us out. I think we'll have some clips from that up on the video here. But very cool band. How did you get involved with those guys?
Funny enough, I knew a few of them I knew a few of the players from going to ASU, but that wasn't really what got me into the band. What got me into the band was I went to go check them out at Lost Leaf, and at the time Bad Cactus was a brass band. I mean, they're still a brass band, but
right.
At the time they were exclusively brass and percussion.
Right.
They never really had a chordal instrument, and I went and saw them at the Lost Leaf, which is a venue downtown that serves a lot of craft beers and has an art gallery as well. It's a cool place to check it out.
Awesome.
But it's at the time they had like an old beat up grand piano. It was out of tune, and yeah, one of my buddies that was playing was like, "Hey, Chris is here. Like, you should come up to play." And so I came up to play on that grand piano, and like, it's generally by itself, it's pretty awful, but if you pair it with New Orleans style, it kind of sounds more authentic the more out of tune it is. It's kind of like I have the chorus pedal on my keyboard or something. But we had a great time, played a couple tunes, and like 2 weeks later, Benji, who's the leader at the time, he's like, "Hey, we're playing at the Chandler Center of the Arts. Want to play with us?" And I was like, "Sure."
Awesome.
And ever since then, he just kept calling my number.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, it was fun to have you guys out. Before we dive into the keyboard, you were, 5 years old when you started to play piano. We have a lot of students and younger players here at Milano's through our lessons department. What what kind of general advice would you give students that are, looking to get into music? Like you said, classical didn't really do it for you. That's kind of how I was. I started when I was 8 years old, and just kind of, what would you say to kids that are looking to get into music and start jamming?
Well, one of the things that I found fascinating is in my first, well, what I find fascinating now, not back then, but as looking back, is that the more that I was excited about music, the more that I listened and wanted to be a part of it, the more my creativity grew. And it's almost like and I think like photographers know this whenever they're taking a picture, they're meant to be an observer,
Right.
and their art is in showing exactly what they want to. No, sorry, their art is showing what they observed that particular instance.
Right.
And they're putting like a framework around that, and and sometimes people can get so caught up in art, like, oh, you have to be so creative, you have to be a genius, and you have to come up with something that no one's ever heard before. But I'm more of the camp where I'm just observing what's already been out there, and through that observation, I focus on what uniquely that I like, and that's what makes me unique. So it's basically like sharing your music collection with someone else, like what artists you listen to, like, hey, I like this guy and like this guy and this guy, and like, we're gonna like some of the same artists, but
Right.
who you like is also unique to you. And,
Right.
So sometimes I would say my first developing years, like, I did a lot of listening, and that listening, sure I was nervous, and sure I was, sure I had stage fright and all that stuff, but me focusing on like what I liked about other music and what excited me about music, that distracted me from my own fears and discomforts. Right. and that kind of stuff, and yeah, so I would say my advice is just saying, like, just discover the joy of music and focus on that more on than trying to measure up to some standard or join the rat race or whatever have you.
Right.
Like, or I should be here by this time, or I should be as good as so and so in my class. He's the same age as me, and one of the things that helped me in the beginning, someone told me, is like, don't focus so much on trying to be the best pianist in the world, but focus on being the best you in the world.
Nice.
So.
Awesome. Love it. Let's dig into the Korg. What brought you to this keyboard? Why did you choose this over whatever else was out on the market?
Well, yeah, this keyboard is actually really the first professional keyboard that I bought. I was gigging on I mentioned before, I was gigging on a Casio Pruvia with it didn't even have a 1/4 inch out, had a headphone out, and I had to get an adapter every time, and I would lose the adapter, or the adapter would break. But anyways, it came to the point I was gigging so much, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I'm doing this full time. I just need to accept the fact that this is my job, and I should not be afraid to drop some money on it, because I'm sure I'll
Right.
make it back. And so I was looking for professional keyboards. Most of my friends had like the Motif, or the Nord was becoming popular at that time.
Right.
And but somebody in me was like, I want to get something different. I want to get something that would set me apart, or like someone to look over my shoulder and be like, what's that thing? And I sort of found that in the Korg SV1. It was because one of the things that at the time that I didn't like about the Nord, which I think it's different now, but at that time people were playing the Nord Electro, and it had a great Rhodes sound, but the piano sound was not so good. I mean, I think nowadays they've updated their sample library, and there's some really good samples for pianos.
Right.
But at the time it wasn't that great, and I was like, yeah, I like that Nord sound, but I want to be able to play some piano stuff too, and I saw a couple different videos on the SV1, and one of my favorite pianists, Taylor Eitzke, was doing a review of the keyboard, and through the different sounds that he played on it, and of course the way that he played is also the window dressing. Like, I can play like Taylor Eitzke if I get the keyboard, which is totally not true, but still the association, like,
Right.
put me there. Then I went. I was able to demo the keyboard in a shop in Tucson, and I just fell in love with how easy it was to use and the interface, and the main thing, like, I love the sound of the piano through the headphones.
Right.
And I was like, oh, good Rhodes sounds and good piano sounds, like that covers what I need. So
Awesome. Very cool. All right. Well, thanks for sitting down with me. Let's get you set up and hear those fingers fly.
here we are. I got to talk a little bit about why I've been using the Korg for the last 6 or 7 years, and I keep using it. And one of the main things is that there's no digital menus. It's all right here in front of you. I don't have to sift through, the shift key and arrow after arrow after arrow just to turn the reverb up a little bit. The reverb knob's right here. You can turn it up like I'm playing in a Sistine Chapel. Or I can turn it down to, I can switch it to a room noise. And yeah, anyways, everything's just right here. And I like the fact that I don't have to plug in different effects pedals if I want to get a simple phaser going on, like a Rhodes sample. And so there's that, but my favorite thing is that there's 8 different presets here. They're like, I can save things like a radio station. I can be like, okay, for tomorrow's performance, I'm going to be playing a lot of Stevie Wonder tunes, so I'm going to need to have a clave set up. So I dial in the clave. So there's that, and I can just press 5, well, I press any of the numbers basically, and hold it, and there it is. Or isn't. It didn't quite do it there. Let's see. Hold it. There you go. So now it's now 5 is. I can always go back to that, But yeah, like I mentioned before, though, one of my favorite things about the Korg is that they got some really great sampled pianos, and you can even tell they took the time to put in the damper pedal as well. So those of you who like to hear the sound of your own damper pedal, there you go. But also they have a sympathetic resonance as well. So like the tone of the note is affected by which notes already are depressed. So, but yeah, I'll just play a little bit just so you can get the sound of the piano. So it's really full, bright kind of piano sound, but it also has a nice upright piano sound, which I kind of like for the Bad Cactus gigs that I was talking about earlier. I have I throw a chorus pedal on it, and it sounds like we're back in New Orleans. So there you have it. Yeah, I'll just go over the Rhodes sounds. This is I'm pressing 2 because that's what I'm used to, but it's not my keyboards. It's not programmed the way that I have it. But here's the Rhodes sound. So it's a, you notice in the low end, it's really full sounding body to the tone. And like I said before, I could throw like a couple different. One of my favorite things to do is throw a tremolo on it. That's some more, some more modern piano sounds too. Like that was popular in ballads in the '90s. This is one that I use a lot. Anyways, that's I use that a lot in some of the ballads in my top 40 group. That it really cuts through the mix pretty well, and it has that nice '90s cheese factor. So yeah, I went to the Rhodes. I went to some piano samples. What else is there? There's I showed you the clave earlier. I really like the strings in this one. It's actually one of my favorite string patches. Usually in my productions at home, when I make tracks, like I don't really use any software instruments or strings, just because I'm so pleased with this one. It's full, but it's bright too. harder. It sounds like you're bowing it harder. Sort of, it's very expressive. It's not just like a sample of a string in one instance. It's a couple of different instances of different aspects of playing a stringed instrument, which I really like. Although there's reverb on it, so you can get pretty pizzicato. It doesn't really get full pizzicato, but it does have expressibility in that sense. What else is there's a couple synth patches here too. They're not really I usually use another board primarily for my synth stuff, but it's nice to have just a couple of them for sometimes I don't feel like bringing two keyboards, and sometimes it's good enough for. Here's an example. It's good enough to get me by. That is not synth patch. Yeah. So. This also works, of course, for like a brass patch. That's a classic example. This keyboard doesn't really have a brass patch, so that works for fill in, and there's also this other synth that's a little bit more aggressive. So it has a lot of expressibility. It's fun, like to be able to hold a chord or just to play a phrase, and that's what I like about this keyboard. There's a lot of tweakability right in the moment, and I could be playing a phrase. It's like. So it's kind of gives me gives me the option of tweaking things. Same thing with like a wah pedal.